Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to Purpose and Power Podcast. I'm your host, Renele Brooks, and I am here to assist you in structuring your organization and bringing clarity to your business so that you can move forward in purpose and alignment and structure, in order and in excellence. Guys, if you have not been with Purpose and Power, you're jumping in at the best time, but I want you to go back and look at the episodes because the episodes build upon one another to help bring best results for your organization or business. Purpose and Power was built out of a heart to assist you to get unstuck. So today we're going to be talking about part 2 of logical framework. And these are the details that make things work, guys. So if you haven't watched part 1, logical frameworks, go back to part 1 and see what that is all about. So today we're digging into the part that most people skip. And I talk about this a lot of times. There's things that are necessary, but we don't really want to do it just yet. And so I want to open up some tools for you guys. Season 2 is all about getting structured, getting the right systems, the right tools in place, getting the right overall organizational functions in place so that you can move forward with clarity. We're talking indicators, assumptions, monitoring, and the fine print that will make or break your project. So let's jump into it. So in the logical framework, we talked about several things, and indicators was one of those things that we talked about. So indicators are your scoreboard. It's really just a definition of what it is. It is an indicator. Indicator of what? It's an indicator of whether or not you are on the right track. The signs you will want to watch to make sure that you are making progress. And we have a couple of different types. Indicators can be quantitative, and that's the hard numbers, the sales figures, the accounts, the revenue growth, the attendance, or they could be qualitative. And that's your stories, your testimonials, your behavioral changes. And so you'll see what you need to measure according to what type of project you're doing. So the pro tip here is if you can't measure it, you really can't manage it. So choose indicators that you can realistically track. You want to make sure that you're on target to meet the goals that you would like to achieve. So let's talk about assumptions. So assumptions is the if all goes well conditions. They're assumptions that you make, things you're counting on to be true for your plan to succeed. So an example of this for a nonprofit after school program would be that you might assume that school remains open or parents can bring kids to the session. So you're making sure that one of your assumptions is the school is going to remain open. You're assuming that. Parents can bring their kids to the session. You are assuming that. So number one, you're assuming that you're going to have a place to do the program. And you're assuming that the kids are going to show up because the parents can bring them. Those are two assumptions, guys, when you're planning a nonprofit after school program. All right. So you plan those assumptions and you make a plan for if they do not happen. What if the parents can't bring the kids to school? What if the school does not remain open? Okay, so you need those assumptions in when you're initially doing your plan until you figure out what actually can happen. You put the assumptions in like hypothetical, but if you don't check them, they can really blindside you. When you're doing the plan, put these assumptions in, and then you want to check them to make sure that your assumptions are going to hold. So let's talk about monitoring. So monitoring is just your reality check loop, okay? So when you monitor, you're regularly tracking your indicators to see, did we meet that indicator? You're looking to make sure that those things are taking place. So you monitor your indicators saying, okay, for quarter 3, we made the sales we needed to make. So we are on target to meet that goal at the end of our time frame, which could be 12 months, 6 months, a year. So an example of monitoring could be monthly sales reports for a business or quarterly surveys for a nonprofit program. Quarterly surveys, making sure your programs are running intact, making sure everything is in order, making sure you evaluate your guests that come in. All of those are monitoring tools that you can use to make sure those indicators are being met. So another tip is set a review in your calendar, because if you don't check, you can't improve. To help keep things in track, the simple tool is you can set a time to review and monitor your indicators in your calendar and say, this time annually, we need to review and make sure that everything is on track. So your risk, these are your curveballs. And again, just like your assumptions, you're going to do these potential risks ahead of time. So for example, a risk are potential events that could derail your project. And an example of that is an economic turndown. You have no control over that. Staff turnover. You have a big project coming up and your retention rate has decreased for your staff. That's a big problem because you need that staff to work that project. It could be changes in regulations. Many of you may have government contracts. They may up and say, we changed the regulation for this, so you may have to jump through hoops to do certain things. But if you kind of have some idea of the risk, then you can mitigate those risks by planning ahead. So what do I mean by mitigate? Mitigate is identifying the risk early so you can come up with a backup plan. I do this with my clients. We mitigate risk because I want you to be successful and move forward, and I don't want anything to stop you. At the beginning, we talk about what could potentially be a hindrance from you getting this program completed. What could be a potential challenge for you within accomplishing these goals? If you know that procrastination is one of the biggest things that you struggle with, we set a plan for procrastination in place. If you know self-sabotage and self-doubt is some of the things that you struggle with, we set a plan for that in place. If you know finances may not be a problem right now, but you have some things coming in the pike and you don't want to stop the progress, we set a plan for that. So this is how you mitigate those risks that could potentially derail what you are trying to do. Why should nonprofit founders care? Why should business owners care? Because skipping the details is like really building your beautiful house on sand, and it might look good, but it won't last. So these are some key things that are built into the log frame that help you to alleviate situations that may arise and help keeps you on track. So let me give you a business example. You launch a new service, but you assume your audience understands it. Okay? That's one of your assumptions, right? 6 months later, sales are flat because the market didn't get it. If you tracked your engagement, which is your indicator, and you adjusted messaging sooner, which is your monitoring, because if you monitor that indicator, you can see something is not going right. Then at that point, you would have been in a different spot than you are now. So you get it? You see why you need the assumptions, you need the indicators, you need the risk in place already, because they help you. Let me give you a nonprofit example. So you plan a major funding event, assuming that the weather is going to cooperate. A sudden storm comes in and you don't have any attendance at your fundraiser event. Risk planning could have had you ready with a virtual backup. You could have done the virtual knowing that, okay, I'm planning for the risk that the weather may not be right. Monitoring the weather could have showed you, yeah, it's looking like it's going to rain. We're not going to be able to do this. Bam, let's kick into our virtual, send all of our attendees the Zoom information and keep it going. So those are important things that are already built in a log frame. And I like that because it helps you mitigate the risk, it helps you monitor, it helps you create those indicators. So you already are in the know. If something were to arise, we have a backup plan. The show must go on. All right, guys. So hopefully that helped. That wraps up our logical framework episodes. And if you need assistance, you're always welcome to reach out to Purpose Inc. and we will help you build out a logical framework. And we can do this on a macro and a micro level. So if you have a nonprofit and you're looking at that overarching thing, we can build out the nonprofit and put the programs in place and have that organizational structure in place. And then for each program, you want to have a logical framework to make that work. If you have not downloaded the logical framework that I provided free from the last episode, go ahead and download the logical framework. Keep in mind that I do have a roadmap to sustainability that is available for purchase on our website, and you're welcome to get that too. It is a more detailed, structured format, and it walks you through step by step. So if you have any questions, reach out to us. Otherwise, guys, we will see you on the next episode, guys. We're moving through these episodes and we're getting things done. I hope you guys are taking this information and putting it into practice. We'll see you next time, guys. Take care.